Join us as we unravel our deep-rooted relationship with money, from earliest memories to eureka moments and building wealth. Birth to Net Worth, with me, Tristan Trenberth. Welcome to Birth to Net Worth, where we speak about the importance of money, relationships with money, and the evolution of our relationship with money through life. I want to welcome into the studio today a really good friend of mine, met through real estate. He's evolved through real estate into something he's going to talk about later on in the program. But let me welcome Corey Geary. Corey, thank you so much for joining us. Where are you joining us from today?
Oh, man, I'm joining you from the beautiful country of Puerto Rico, and thank you so much for having me on today. This is an absolute blessing.
Wonderful. Bit of background, me and Corey, we went through real estate. Corey ran a wholesaling operation, which was really successful, really led a lot of people to making a lot of money and creating a lot of wealth. Very inspiring human being, and, his evolution through real estate into, as we can see on the screen, DeFi Crypto Alliance, another premier education product for, enlightening people around the importance of diversification in investment and, coming away from the reliance of cash, the common currencies, the fiat currencies as they're known. But let's dive into the story, Corey. So what was your first memory of money? Was it something you were bought or denied? Tell me about how you realized money existed and what
That's a great question. I have a few early memories of money. My dad. So I've always been really good with money, saving money. Even when I was a Pizza Hut delivery driver, and this was like 25 years ago, I was able to save up $10K by delivering pizzas. I've been always good at saving money and allocating it for what I need it for, just because of my dad. My dad was, a lot of people would call him frugal or cheap. That would be another word. Unfortunately, there was parts of my childhood. I remember my mom and my dad, they would fight over money. In fact, it got, physically abusive sometimes. That went on for a few years. And that's some of my earliest memories of money, which was also one reason why I wanted to make sure that I wanted to be wealthy. So that way money was never a problem with me and my family. But regardless, he still had a very good, work ethic about him. He really valued the dollar. And I remember one time, I think I was like 4 years old. This is funny how I remember this. Being so young, I found a quarter in the couch. I'm sitting on the couch, and, it's probably some night after dinner, and we're all sitting there. And I go, "Dad, I found a quarter." "Oh, right." I was so happy, right? I was excited. And he goes, "I'm going to keep it. I'm going to say," he's like, "No, you're not." He goes, "Did you earn that?" I'm like, "No, but I found it." He goes, "Okay, but did you earn that?" He's like, "That's mine. You didn't earn it. Now, if you want to earn it, that's another story. Give it to me." I had to give him the quarter, and it broke my heart as a little kid. I'm like, I thought, because I found it, Johnny, it was mine, right? But no, that's not the way it works. And that's one of my earliest memories. And, my dad really taught me good work ethic. He taught me nothing in life that's worthwhile comes easy. It was one of his favorite sayings. Nothing in life worthwhile comes easy, son. And it was just, he ingrained it in my head, and he ingrained to save money. And so that was one of the blessings that I got to take with me through my life because of my father. Even though there was some negativity in the early years, he eventually got over that, those anger issues, which was good, but it's still, that stuff is still ingrained in me a little bit. And it's, that's what really, has created my responsibility with money, where I see a lot of people, like my friends and even some of my family members, who are very reckless with money. And I've never been reckless with money. It's like, and that's due to my dad.
Yeah. That's an incredible, strong memory, and understandably so. So evolving through, your dad's change of mind in some ways through that. You mentioned a pizza delivery job. What other it sounds like you probably had some other money earning activities that happened between you and collecting 10 grand delivering pizzas. Tell me about that evolution.
Well, prior when I was a teenager, I always had the entrepreneurial spirit. And I mean, down to when I was a little kid, I would sell like, lemonade, trying to do that to all my friends and, set a stand out of my house. And I've always had that kind of entrepreneurial spirit because of my dad. He would tell me, hey, go out and mow lawns. I did that for a while where I went out and I door knocked all my friends' house and mowed their lawns, for $1 or $2. In my teen years, being that, other than the money guidance, I didn't have a lot of guidance from my family. I was kind of, you know, a mess, and so was my family. And as a teenager, I was a real mess. I mean, I was a train wreck. A lot of drugs, a lot of alcohol, and so what I with money, I became a drug dealer. I was a drug dealer for quite a while. Made a ton of money selling cocaine, and so ended up shutting that down though when I got a tip that the DEA was watching me. One of my prior associates had been arrested and he probably ratted me out. And so that's when I shut all that down, and because I didn't want to go to prison for the rest of my life. It's just, there's a lot of money in that particular trade or that industry, but it's not worth losing your life for there's some things money's not worth doing.
Yeah.
And that's one of them. Even though it could be extremely lucrative. I mean, you look at the early cocaine cowboys from Miami, those guys, they man, all of them, they're multimillionaires, but it's just, there's better and a lot less riskier ways to make money in life. And so, yeah, so I wound that down, and then, I went to music college for a while, where there I was living off of the money that I had saved up from, dealing drugs, and I had saved up a lot of money from doing that. And then after I got out of music college, that's when I ended up being a Pizza Hut delivery driver for 5 years. 5 years. And during that time, I used to play a lot of pokers. During the time when poker it was like right before poker got real glamorous. It was like 2004, 2003. There was a time period where poker was like in the spotlight, and I was playing poker, but just like home games. And then like we'd have just kind of like word of mouth people coming over. And then we had these blackjack dealers, and this was in Tucson, Arizona. We'd have these blackjack dealers come over on my poker night, and they had a lot of money, and they would lose a lot of money or win a lot of money. It's like, hey man, what do you guys do for a living? It's like, what? All right, we deal cards. What does that look like? Well, it's, we they make over 6 figures a year, and it's because of the tips.
Yeah.
And it fascinated me. And I was like, man, how do I do that? They're like, well, you go to Vegas, go to school, and come back, and then we can get you an audition.
Yeah.
That's what I did. I quit my Pizza Hut delivery job. I freaking flew to Vegas, and I stayed out there for like 3 months, went to blackjack dealer school,
Yeah.
came back, and it took me a few months and a couple auditions of being turned down, just like anything else before I got hired. But then eventually a casino picked me up down there in Tucson, a casino called Casino del Sol. And that was the beginning of my blackjack dealing journey, which was about 16 years long.
Wow. Yeah. So what happened to the music?
The music thing, I played a lot in a lot of bands around Los Angeles and Hollywood, and it just, there was no money in it. We paid to play. Like any of these clubs that we had to go in when we were playing, I went to school. The school cost me a grip. I ended up, I was able to pay that off when I was dealing blackjack, dealing cards. It cost me a grip, and you pay to play, and music's still my passion. I love music. I love everything about music.
What do you play?
I play guitar.
Nice. Yeah.
I play guitar. I love jazz. I love rock. I mean, I love reggae. I mean, I love music. It's just a passion of mine. It's just, it's a great way to change the emotional state of your being temporarily. You know what I mean? It's just, it's wonderful, especially the right kind of music. I don't listen to a lot of angry music. I did like a lot of heavy metal back in the day, like Metallica and stuff like that. But still, it was, yeah, I love music, man. And yeah, I still own 5 guitars. They're all in Arizona. They're not here in Puerto Rico with me. But yeah, music is amazing, man. If I ever had the opportunity to invest in a musician I thought was up and coming, or maybe even like a recording studio, something that could tie that passion back in again, I I might do it. I would, just because it would be fun, right?
Or a couple 59 Les Pauls, maybe.
Oh, man. I love Les Paul guitars, man. I love the thickness of the tonality that a Les Paul guitar has, the heaviness, and man, they're amazing guitars.
So the reason I brought up music is, you know, in our careers in real estate, creating the conditions for the results to happen, as far as making money or success, you know, music's kind of like sports in that way. Yeah, there are some people that really make it big, but the number of people that don't, and the amount of effort you put in to get to that point. I love photography, but I knew it wasn't ever going to be a career, money-making career for me, like a primary income source. So I never tried to make it an income source. I love music and photographing concerts. Like here we got John Petrucci from Dream Theater.
Oh man,
My show 2013. And
I love Dream Theater.
I got Slash over here from 2018 as well. But when we look at what we're doing with even pizza delivery, that could have made more money than a musician may have made. And you have to pay to play, like the Rainbow and a lot of these places.
And you're
up on those off
Viper Room and the wacky.
Yeah. So when we look at now, we're in a real estate business, or we're in crypto, whatever those things are, those metrics actually count towards the potential results. Small tweaks in your marketing sources, for example, that can make a huge difference on your conversion rates. And so, you know, talking about birth to net worth, so many people have dreams of music, and there's nothing wrong with that. We only need to look at American Idol to see that there are a lot of scary dreams out there as well. But when we look at the effectiveness of what we should do, your dad guided you a lot. I can tell he guided you a lot with the money, and that made a huge impact on your life. You went and studied your passion, and that was something that really fulfilled you, I can tell, for that time.
I needed it.
Yeah. And that evolves us as a human being, and there's nothing wrong with that. Tell me kind of beyond pizza delivery to then, you know, getting into the poker dealing. That was obviously a lucrative business for a while. I know we've had the conversation about the transition from poker dealing to real estate. What made you aware of the real estate thing, that next move? And what was it that made you realize that being tipped and paid well versus creating something that was your own, you were the captain of that ship at that point?
Yeah. That's a very great question. And I've thought this question over, you know, and analyzed this so many times, because like I said earlier, I was in the business of dealing blackjack in the casinos for 16 years. To me, it was, you know, about 12 to 14 years too long. If I could go back in time, but you know, we all learn, because I got comfortable is what happened. I was dealing cards, you know, I was making anywhere from 100 to 140 grand a year, working 6 hours a night, in, you know, only 5 days a week. So it was great money, and it gave me the capability of just partying my butt off, and drifting through life. Drifting in the way of, if even your viewers have read the book Outwitting the Devil, a very amazing, it's an amazing book by Napoleon Hill. And that was me. I was drifting through life. I was just comfortable in my little bubble, making money, partying, you know, drinking a lot, drinking really heavily. I'm sober now. I haven't drank in years. But at the time, you know, I was partying in the casino business. That's kind of the culture, if you will. That's what everyone does. And I was single. I was, you know, they allowed me to take off a month and a half every year. So I would take off a month, and I'd fly to like Thailand or fly to like Philippines, and I would just hang out there. So literally my life was just, so just free in a way, but just drifting with no purpose and, creating no value in. I don't know, man. I feel like I had the universe or God. I'm a God. I believe in God. So, depending on what your viewers believe, you could say the universe one day dangled a carrot in front of me. We got in the habit of watching the show Flip or Flop because I had bought a house. I bought a house there by the casino, in 2013. Great time. Got a good deal. I still own that house. I'll probably never get rid of it because I have so much equity in that house. I'm just like, why? I can always just pull HELOCs out. Yeah. But I bought the house, was living in it, and the girl I was dating at the time, she was a part-time realtor. She was part-time realtor and part-time blackjack dealer. And so we'd watch that show, Flip or Flop, with Tarek Al-Musa. Every time it came on, the was a HGTV, I think it was.
Yeah.
And I got kind of hooked on it. And eventually, I was saving money. I had, over 6 figures in the bank from my dealing job. Obviously, I had a real heavy 401k too. The casinos also match your 401k. It's great. They really have good benefits. And one of these days, we're sitting there watching the show, and she's like, "Why don't you flip a house so I can list it?"
Yeah, nice, great motivation, right?
And I was like, these guys are making like $80,000 in 20 minutes. I'm like, why don't I flip a house so you can list it? You know? And she was speaking from her own, I guess, greed, right? Like, but it was not like greed, but and I was like, and so like literally, dude, when that conversation happened one night, the next morning I'm running around the neighborhood, and maybe just because, now I'm noticing things before I didn't notice because I didn't really think of it, but then I see one of those bandit signs.
Yeah.
And typically, maybe we don't ever pay attention to those if we're not thinking about real estate. Or maybe it was God, and he was like, "Hey, here you go."
Yeah.
I saw one of those banner signs that said "Fix and Flip, Buy Price." And I can't remember the numbers. It might have been like 250, ARV, 350, whatever it was. And I stopped on my run and I called that number. I bought that house. It took me 6 months to flip it, and I made $8,000. And she got to list it.
Right.
That was my very first real estate deal. So I got into the business because a carrot was dangled in front of me.
Yeah.
And I've always wanted more. Because I've always wanted more money. I've always wanted more purpose. I always wanted more in my life. And I felt that deep down inside, even though I was drifting through life in my comfortable zone, it was something in there that was like, hey, you need more. You need to do more. And it took, God coming down with the carrot and going, "Hey, how would you like to make more money?"
Yeah.
And that decision, man, was probably the best decision in my life, even though I'll tell you about the third deal, which was like the worst deal I ever did. But real estate saved my life.
Yeah.
I wrote a book this year, should be coming out. It says Real Estate Saved My Life. Because because I went down the rabbit hole chasing the carrot, the money. But then I got around like-minded people who were on this journey trying to level up every aspect of their life. People like yourself.
Yeah.
People trying to level up spiritually, mentally, physically. Mm-hmm. They were on this journey of just being 1% better every single day. And and when you're in these rooms with these people and you make friends with these people, you can't help for those people rubbing off on you. And that's how real estate saved my life, because it leveled me up spiritually, mentally, physically, and financially. Those are my 4 pillars in life that I'm always trying to improve on. And financial is the last one, man. I mean, if I can nail these first, I know this is going to fall in line. But at the time, I didn't know that, right? At the time, I'm like just chasing the dollar. So it was absolutely the most amazing thing that ever happened to me, was buying that first house. It took me 6 months, made $8,000. It was painful. It sucked. The contractor sucked. But it was my first real estate. And I did that all while working the blackjack dealer job.
And she probably made more than you on the commission.
I think we did. Yeah.
It's amazing, like I was saying about a little earlier about creating the conditions for the results to happen. Physical, spiritual, mental, or emotional, the money will follow.
The money fell.
You're in order, that is always going to follow regardless.
Yes.
And I think starting with that one, these fall away. That's the problem.
Agreed. You have to be careful to not lose sight. Even still to this day, there's times where I'm like, where I could feel myself slacking on some of my spiritual stuff that I normally do, or part of my routine. I'm like, wait a minute, you gotta do a check on yourself. You have to sit down and analyze it. Okay, I always want to be getting better. I feel like that's what we're here to do in life, is to create value and always improving to get better, man.
I'm in that reset period right now of my kind of routine and what I'm doing in all of those areas, really. I mean, last 6 months, I've kind of let off the physical side of things, changed my schedule, working with a friend of mine in Texas. It's great, but it's starting 2 hours earlier, so I'm losing 2 hours of my time in the morning. I never found a place to put it later in the day, or take some of it and put it somewhere else, but I'm now anchoring in a bit of meditation in the morning, a short one. And now I can expand on that as, just, I think, who was it that was telling me it's like Atomic Habits. I was talking to Dan Nguyen the other day, and it's just kind of anchoring it in, putting it back where it needs to be, or putting it somewhere where it can be, and then just building on that as a foundation.
Yeah, everyone should have a morning routine.
Yeah.
And that can look different from everybody, right? I love meditation. I love breath work. I love running. I love running. I ran 3.5 miles today. It was amazing. So that's part of my morning routine. Everyone should have one. And what's great is when I moved to Puerto Rico, being that we're on Eastern Standard, and most of the world, in Arizona, the West Coast, we're 3 hours ahead.
Yeah.
So when I get up at 6, it's 8 o'clock,
and nobody's giving you any grief at that point in the
No, man, I could go out and I have the whole morning to myself. And in fact, it's beautiful because then my daughter's waking up around 8 or 9.
Yeah.
And then I can spend the morning with her before diving in for what I need to dive in for the day.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal with the time difference.
Yeah.
I'm loving it.
Yeah. Awesome. So you got into real estate. Your first flip was not quite better than a break even, but it was an experience. And then how soon did you take your next one? Was it right away? Did you wait a little bit of time?
No, it was short. It was right after I started going around to the local RIA. Back then it was called As RIA. And I know they've kind of done some revamping.
Yeah.
And I met a gentleman named Chris Iman. And you might know Chris. He's
The giant.
Yeah. He's a local there in our market. He's an OG. The guy's been around for a long time doing real estate. I give Chris a lot of respect. He's taught me a lot too.
Yeah.
I met him and I bought a house off of him. That one took me 3 months and I made $20K. An absolutely solid win.
Yeah.
Absolutely solid win. The problem with that solid win was that it boosted my ego.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I got this figured out. Let me go buy 4 houses
Yeah.
all at once. And then I can make like maybe 80 or 100K.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, man. That was, yeah. So I bought 4 houses. I did it. I bought them off Chris.
Yeah.
And I ended up getting a new contractor because the old one, we had a falling out, but it wasn't like a big deal. It just wasn't ways. And then somebody referred me a new contractor. I didn't do any due diligence. I didn't check the register of contractors. For your listeners, that's just where they hang the license, and any complaints done against them, you can go and research it. I didn't check the attorney general. I didn't check clients. Well, that guy took me to the cleaners, man. He took me to the cleaners, and I lost about $250,000.
Wow.
Those deals. And what happened is I was just naive. He would send me pictures of the properties getting updated while I was, I'm working my blackjack job. I'm partying. That's the other problem, man. I was just so complacent.
Yeah.
I was partying and I was believing him. and I was sending him money every single week. And by the time I realized, like, I better go check on these properties and figure out what's going on, I went out there and like basically nothing had been done. And I was running so short on money that I had to wholesale the deals back to the wholesaler.
Yeah.
So I lost all my down payment. I lost the hard money I was paying every single month. I lost the money I dished. So it was a lot of money at the end of the movie. And I lost my life savings. I lost my previous flip money, obviously, and I lost my 401k loan that I took out from the casino.
Yeah.
And so it set me back completely to zero. And it really sucked. It really sucked. That was probably the darkest moment of my, entrepreneurial journey. It was bad. I didn't want to give up real estate, man. I didn't want to stop. I knew if I stopped at that moment, that 250 grand, it was gone forever. Like, that's how I was to truly lose that money. I knew the only way to get that money back was to push on. I had to push on. I got to figure this freaking thing out. Like, even though I'm broke, I still have my job. At the very least, I have a good job. It's still bringing in money. And so I'm like, I got to figure this damn thing out. Like, I'm not going to just lay down and that's it, because then I lost $250,000. And so I remember, like, everyone at these ASRE events were like, wholesalers, you don't need money to be a wholesaler. You don't need money to do deals. And it's like, I'm like, well, how do these wholesalers get deals? I literally went on Google. I typed in, how do wholesalers get deals?
Yeah.
And guess who popped up?
Sean Terry.
Ron Terry.
The Godfather.
He was probably doing Google PPC for his course.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I flipped to freedom. That was, $997. And that was the beginning of my wholesale journey.
Yeah. So tell me about that dark moment. I mean, emotionally, financially.
Sucked ass, bro.
Yeah.
I remember it like it.
Yeah, I bet. And I think those are some of these important things that we need to talk about relationship with money. From your parents' activities around money, finding a quarter and it's not yours, going up to pizzas to down to here. This is the thing. Us being persistent and deliberate and being committed is the differentiator between, the people that are going to be free financially and emotionally and every other way. How I've heard as well, when you're at the bottom, people say don't try and climb out too quick. You got to take in the experience and gain what's there as a gift for you at the bottom before you come out, because it might be that you rise up a little bit quickly and you drop back down there or further. How was your experience of that? I mean,
I did not rise quick. It took me 10 months to get my first wholesale deal. So I was down in that bottom for a while. And like I said, at the very least, I had the job. The job was bringing in good monthly income. I mean, you can say that when I left there, I was making about 140 grand a year. So that's really good money for a job anyways. But yeah, it was a blow to the stomach, man. I didn't sleep at night. Of course, I was drinking a lot.
Yeah.
And it just took me a while to grind out of that, because I didn't have a lot of money now to go out and spend on like marketing or trying to get a deal, or what are my options? Door knocking and cold calling myself.
Yeah.
Oh, and I remember I did a little bit of direct mail, but my budget was so small that we wouldn't be able to do too much damage. Oh, and bandit signs. I used to do bandit signs in the beginning of my my journey. In fact, I remember, I think it was my second deal I obtained was off a bandit sign.
Yeah.
First deal was off of cold calling.
Yeah.
And, because I got smacked down so hard, it took me a long time to get out of that hole. Like I say, it was 10 months before I got my first deal. And I used to work nights in the casino. This was also the one benefit about that type of industry is that, I go to work at 8 o'clock at night, and then I get up 4 in the morning or 2 in the morning. I used to get most of the time about 2 in the morning, and I go home, go directly to sleep, and then get up, 8, 9 in the morning, get a few hours sleep, and then start cold calling. And and or door knocking or putting out bandit signs or whatever it was that day that I had on the schedule, because I had a schedule that I was trying to stick to try to draw out a business plan. And it was 10 months of that before the first deal. But the funny thing is, Tristan, is that the first deal came in, it got easier. The second deal was like a month later off the bandit line. It was like a month later. And then it was like another one. And it was like, then they started coming.
Yeah.
And it was great because now I was wholesaling those deals to Chris.
Yeah. Fantastic. Yeah.
It was like full circle back, right? Like now I'm wholesaling to him. Of course, he's wholesaling them.
Yeah.
Which is fine. But yeah, it was a very dark moment. It took a lot of pushing. The only thing that kept me pushing was my stubbornness and unwillingness to lose a $250,000. I was not about to lose $250,000. I was going to go through hell to make sure I at least made that money back.
Yeah.
And the only way that to get it back is by tackling this new niche I was trying to do, real estate. It wasn't going to be like going back to the casino and working. That would have took years to get that money back.
Yeah.
It would have been brutal. But that was the one thing that kept me going in the darkness, was my stubbornness to unwilling to lose that money.
Yeah. So I was just waiting for you to say that one of the bandit signs was like Jared Vidalis or Carlos or somebody, because they were out there hassling around that time, weren't they, getting the bandit signs?
It worked. In fact, we used to get the most deals at was out in Apache Junction. And so we'd put them on the on and off ramps of the freeway. We put them in Home Depots, Walmarts, scattered around different, intersection corners. And they worked, man. I remember that second deal vividly because of the story behind it. The seller was a heroin addict, and the mom, so he owned the house, but the mom was putting them in rehab, needed the money for the rehab, and they needed the money very quickly. And that's why I remember it so well, because we met with the seller, and I remember at the track marks all over his arms.
Yeah.
Mom crying at the kitchen table, because in the early days, we used to go belly to belly with all of our sellers.
Yeah.
And I remember it so vividly because it hit me. I was like, oh man, and so that was my second wholesale deal, which was off a bandit sign. I think I made $17,000 off that deal. I remember that. You remember that? I can remember the dollar amount of that one, but if you asked me on my seventh deal or eighth deal, I can't remember the dollar amount of that one. But that one I remember vividly. The first deal I made $10,000. It was an even $10,000. The second deal was $17,000, and then after that, it gets blurry. I mean, obviously, I know my biggest one I ever did, and after that, it's those first deals, man. They really, because it's like proof of concept. You're like, this works. Like, I can make money doing this, and we got back into flipping. I mean, not right away, man, but probably about a year into my wholesale journey, I started flipping again, and I actually made money doing that.
And being direct to seller makes so much difference in that park as well. Eliminates
100%.
So
100%.
So how long were you doing traditional wholesaling for before you found, was it through Eric that you found the Novation side of things, or somewhere else? There were a lot of coming around the same time with the Novation concept. So nobody really invented it.
Eric was definitely teaching it before me.
Yeah.
I give credit where credit's due. But it wasn't him. So I'll tell you the story behind it. So I was local, doing about 7 to 10 deals a month, which, man, that was phenomenal. Like, I don't know what I was thinking. Like I wanted to scale. Like, I'm always scale. Like, all the gurus are saying scale. Yeah, and that's a mistake. It's not always the correct answer to your, the rest of your real estate journey. But I wanted to scale, and I was only doing 7 to 10 deals a month. And I saw these guys. Nick Perry's one of them. He's a good friend of mine. Shout out to Nick Perry if he's listening. And he was one of them. And I was in a mastermind with them, and he's doing this nationwide wholesaling thing. I'm like, man, if I go nationwide, I can, get 50 deals a month easily. And so that's what I did. I turned all my local marketing off. Biggest mistake ever. I ran in the red for 3 months, deep in the red. Almost went bankrupt from that decision before I started making money again. But I shut all my local marketing off. I switched to nationwide, and it was painful because we couldn't find buyers, and we were locking deals up like crazy. But we were used to locking deals up in Phoenix, in Arizona. That's a different demographic of a property and a different type of investor or buyer than is in, say, Columbus, Ohio. Totally different. But we don't know that, and we're just, throwing mud at the wall and seeing, or spaghetti at the wall, see what's sticking. And literally, like, maybe we're closing 1 out of every 5 deals that we lock up, maybe worse than that. And it was painful. And I was in a mastermind out in Florida. It was Joe Dillon's mastermind. You guys know Joe Dillon. He's great. But I was there, and somebody was presenting. His name is Gabe Garcia, and I'll give him credit every single day. He was presenting on his business, and he was talking about how he made $2 million the prior year, and like 50% of that money came from this strategy called novations.
Wow.
And then he dove into it. He's like, yeah, we sell these properties to conventional finance buyers on the MLS. And a light bulb went on because I'm going through a pain. Like, I have pain right now. And a light bulb went on, like, that could be the solution to my problem. And it was. And boy, was it ever. And so I picked his brain like crazy. I mean, we were there for the weekend, and I think I didn't stop talking to him the whole entire week. I'm like, wow, tell me how you do this, please. And he told me, man. He told me everything he's doing now. He was doing it more of the Eric Brewer method, using power of attorney. More of a local model where you partner with the seller. But still, I was like, there's something to this. And I went back, and we did a couple in our local market. It worked out, and then we turned it. We started doing them nationwide. Through that, though, I had to pay my attorney. It probably cost me around $12,000 to redraft up the contracts in the way, because I wanted to be able to scale the model without the least amount of liability. And the problem with the power of attorney and you signing the deed, it happens. There's just too many liability factors where you can get in a lot of trouble if something goes wrong. Not to say that there's nothing wrong with that method. It's just I didn't like it because we wanted to get to a point where we're doing 30, 40 deals a month. And so my attorney, well, actually, it was like 2 different attorneys. There was one in Texas and one in Arizona. And you know the one in Arizona, Sean St. Clair, and Brian Locker. Great guys.
Brian's awesome.
Any real estate issues you got in Arizona, man, those are the guys. And they helped a lot with some of the drafting. These other guys, Uncle Charles referred me to, help a lot with the drafting. And we ended up with an attorney, in fact, which didn't give you rights over the real estate. It just gave you signing rights over the seller. And that was the biggest solution to the problem, because now you don't have control of the real estate. The liability is not there. And the seller is now signing the deed. So it gave us the capability of scaling the model, and it was great, man. I mean, Novation Nation was if I were to go and start up a real estate business tomorrow, that's what I would do. I would do novations, maybe some seller financing like you're doing, and some other stuff to long-term hold. Obviously, you want to build a portfolio for that, but like for quick money, you need money to get business. It was a great model, and I liked it better than wholesaling. I liked it way better than wholesaling. I never liked wholesaling that much. Like, it paid the bills. It was great. I made a lot of money. But I didn't like it that much because, like, you're keeping it secret from the seller. You're not selling the contract, and like you're trying to like hide from the buyer how much you're making. And there's always this gray line that you're walking. And when you're trying to do 10, 20, and 30s a month, like it's a big giant mess. And so I never really liked it. And novations, man, you don't have any of that. You know, it's full transparency with the seller.
Yeah.
It's you're working with the realtor. The buyer doesn't care how much you're making because they're a retail buyer.
Yeah.
Like they don't care. The investors are the only ones who count your opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not retail.
And the selling are guaranteeing them amount of money that they're happy with up front, and they're getting what they asked for, right?
Exactly. And when you negotiate out of your end, so you're keeping the seller happy as much as you can. And man, it's just a great model. It works even when they're raising interest rates. So in 2022, when they started raising the rates, all in 22, I was doing novations. Yeah. All through 22, man, I was cranking out novations because it's retail. Retail's never going to go away. Where your cash buyers, those will kind of dry out a little bit.
Yeah.
But you retail buyers, man, everyone needs to buy a house.
Absolutely, yeah. And especially now when there's lower inventory, they want to buy a house, you know?
Yeah.
You know? So awesome. So what introduced you to crypto? Because I know you don't just find out about crypto today and right, I'm doing that tomorrow. I know this is all about relationships and evolution and leveling up. And I know you're in a lot of masterminds. I'm in a lot of masterminds through, you know, meeting people, building a relationship, building knowledge, you know, elevating with people and, you know, lifting others with you. Who kind of who put their hand down to lift you up in the crypto space? Because I know you've put your hand down to lift a lot in the real estate space.
In the beginning, it was just another shiny object syndrome type rabbit hole I went down. Like, you know, seeing people in 2020 and 21, which, by the way, the statistic of 2020 and 21 in crypto, it created more millionaires and billionaires in any other niche in the world. And it's being advertised all over the news. Like, crypto was the best thing since sliced bread. So I wanted to start getting involved. But my problem is I got involved the wrong way. I started watching influencers on YouTube, buying the coins that they're shilling me, which means that they're telling me about. And, you know, I lost 6 figures rather quick in the crypto space when I first entered. It sucked. But just like real estate, I didn't want to just give it up.
Yeah.
I knew there was something to it. And so I started going really deep and I joined masterminds. I started going to events. I started networking with other, you know, successful crypto people that's what they did full time.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about traders. I'm talking about people who have made true wealth off crypto trading. You're not going to make wealth.
Emotional thing, isn't it? I think it's an emotion. The influence is selling you on emotion. Oh, you need to buy this. Shit, I'm going to miss out if I don't buy that thing. You go and buy it, and then it goes up, and then you know what they want, and they've sold before they tell you to sell.
They have their bags packed.
Yeah.
They have a large audience. They shill the coin, and as soon as the audience starts buying, they're dumping as they're. Yeah. So literally every single day, man, by the evening, you know, it was massive red candles and I've lost a lot of money. And it just, so I didn't want to, you know, I wanted to be a student of the asset class, just like what I was with real estate.
Yeah.
And that's when I started taking it serious and really started to put the time in to learn, and the due diligence is really when I started having a lot of success in the space. And it took a couple of years, man. It was not overnight.
No.
And the whole time I'm still doing real estate. I'm doing real estate.
Yeah.
Real estate's bringing a lot of money in, which is always right. That's good. You know, and it ended up being like the blackjack dealer job in real estate when I was transitioning.
Yeah.
It ended up being like that, where, like, you know, I got my ass handed to me in the beginning, but I still had the real estate business. I was bringing a crap ton of money in. And like I said, I joined masterminds. I went to events. I hired private mentors, and I wanted to learn, you know, exactly what this space was all about. I knew it's, you know, it's the next, you know, it is the next evolution of money. And I wanted to understand it. And man, did I go down a rabbit hole of all rabbit holes. And that's how I'm in Puerto Rico, actually.
Yeah.
Puerto Rico, because of crypto. It's funny, Tristan. Real estate, I was thinking about this the other day. Real estate made me friends and relationships all over the United States. I can go to any state, and I got a real estate investor I can call and go visit him in the office, and he'll show me a good time, take me out to dinner. It's great. It was phenomenal. Crypto did that for me worldwide.
Yeah.
I have relationships all over the world. I'm going to Panama in February to set up a bank account down there. I mean, I have people in Dubai now. It's amazing the relationships it did for me worldwide. And that's how I ended up in Puerto Rico, is because Puerto Rico is kind of the crypto hub of the United States. This is where all the crypto guys live. That's what they do full time. And I wanted to be around people who were playing a bigger game than me. Just like in real estate. Like in real estate, I always wanted to get in rooms where people are doing more deals or bigger deals, or they have a creative financing strategy on deals. I wanted to be the dumbest person in the room, right?
Yeah.
And I want to do the same with crypto, and that's why I'm out here. And these guys, they're taking me under the wing. They're conditioning me. They're training me basically to how to be a whale and a shark, which is just meaning that, they hold large supplies of certain coins and ecosystems, and this is what they do full time. And then they're very, very, very wealthy. I mean, extremely wealthy.
Yeah.
And so I ended up in the end of 2022, I was making so much money in crypto that it paled in comparison to what I was making in real estate. And I realized that real estate was basically holding me back on my full potential, what I could do in this space. Because this space does take work. I mean, I have to do about 6 to 8 hours of due diligence every single day. It takes me about 100 different protocols of researching before I find one that's even investable.
Yeah.
And I have a family. I have a family now. I'm married. I got a 2-year-old.
Yeah.
She's amazing. She's my heart. I love her to death.
Yes.
I can hear her screaming out there. And so I have my family. I have my real estate business. And then I was doing crypto too. And I wasn't sleeping that much. And so I made the decision at the end of 2022 to start winding down the real estate business. And so now part of the overall mission is to use cryptocurrency as a wealth creation tool and use real estate as a wealth preservation tool. That's the mission that we're on. It's been phenomenal, man. We even started the mastermind around this. We have 103 members in the mastermind. They're all real estate entrepreneurs, which is really cool. That's who we know.
Yeah.
That's who we know. And even Robert G. Allen, which most people probably know who he is. He wrote the book Nothing Down. He's from the 1980s. He's infomercials. He was one of the first ones that was teaching creative financing. We partnered with him, and we're teaching him crypto. He's part of our group.
Brilliant.
It's just been a blessing, man. An absolute blessing. But we're not done with real estate as a whole. I love the asset class real estate, not in necessarily love fighting with buyers and sellers all the time and being in lawsuits and being a glorified HR department.
Yeah.
When you run a big team. But the asset class real estate itself is a beautiful asset class. And so we just want to marry the two together, where we're going to go after where the opportunity's at now. Right now, the opportunity is in crypto.
Yeah.
There is no two ways about it. It is massive right now.
Yeah. Yeah. So you mentioned your 2-year-old in the other room.
Yeah.
You've shared your experience with, money, parents with money, that sort of thing. You're in a very different position now. You're a different person than your father was at the age that your daughter is now. What are you taking forward? What have you kind of decided that is going to be your introduction to your daughter? I mean, you can't obviously make her perspective on money, but how are you going to lay the foundation for her to be, a young woman, a grown woman who has a healthy relationship with money and investing, and really sounds like a very diverse understanding of money and investments, and from a very different perspective than many people do.
Yep. And so many different ways, or many same ways with the money relationship that my father taught me when I was young, I will be teaching her, minus some of the negativity that I experienced as a young kid. It was unfortunate that some of that stuff's ingrained in my head.
Yeah.
Because of that. So minus that, but she needs to learn the value of money. She needs to learn how to work, have chores. We're gonna, there's gonna be a foundation we're gonna lay down. And even with the money that I have and that I'm making, it's not gonna just be like handed to her one day when she's 18 if I were to pass away. And I know we've had this conversation a couple times, which I really love that that you have some kind of the same ethos as me on. They need to learn what the true value of money is, and what it means to be an entrepreneur, what it means to be, build a business. Or if they don't want to go that route, okay, maybe it's the route of going to school and becoming a doctor.
Yeah.
Okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Because after that, they can open their own practice or whatever it is. And then you're an entrepreneur still. There's different ways and different roads to adding value to life. So that's what we're here for. We're here to add value to our fellow man or woman, in her case. And so we want to make sure that we keep that ethos ingrained in her. And that's the one thing my dad, even though a lot of the other parts, he was non-existent in my life, that was the one thing that he gave me that was truly a gift that I want to make sure that I also hand down and teach. Because if it weren't for that, I definitely wouldn't be here living in Puerto Rico doing what I'm, living. It was that was giving me the capability of getting to where I'm at now. So that part, we want to make sure we do it right, man, because you only got one shot at that, right?
Yeah.
You mess that up with them at the early age.
Yeah.
It's like you spoil them at the wrong time, and it's like, like I said, and I want to learn more about that. I want to learn more, and I know you're doing some research on this stuff, but I want to learn more about how we can, if we have a lot of money, how can we responsibly take care of them? But at the same time, as they're growing up in their life, in their journey of life, how can we make sure they get the same lessons that we had to learn? We had to learn a lot of hard lessons. And, it would break my heart if she came to me one day and say, "Hey, Dad, I lost all my money on this fix and flip." It's like, what do you do there? Do you bail her out and for her next one, or do you make her do what I had to do and freaking cold call 12 hours a day for 10 months before I locked up my first record? So I need to do more learning as she's growing, because it's a new journey for me now. This is all for me.
Yeah.
As she's growing to being a woman, I need to learn how to responsibly, put that into her life.
And I think she's going to gain that from you so strongly with the empathy and compassion and the love that you have of as a father. And you'll share these stories with her as she grows up, and there'll be more granular stories that you share with her along the way. She's going to understand how you came to see the value of these things and understand. And, some people are saying, well, in my demise, I'll double whatever my kid is able to earn. So if they're able to earn 100 grand, I'll give them 200 grand because they've gone out there and that incentivizes them to go and make $250,000. And do you see what I mean? So that's one way. But I think some of these things are key. You're never going to let somebody starve or, any real, any harm come to your daughter. But I think that through a caring and a loving delivery of that, and understanding before that might even happen in her life, she'll know that whatever happens is a loving, caring thing. You'll never let her down or leave her short.
Yeah.
But there'll be a way that she understands that, right, I've got a problem to solve and I'm capable of solving that problem. Dad, how can you help me solve the problem? Let's do this together. Can you guide me? What could you suggest from your experience? And that will elevate her, and, she'll have the trust to come to you and say, Dad, fuck, you told me that story about that flip. Geez, I done the same thing, or something. What would you do? I know you did that. Life's a bit different now. Shit, I got to dig myself out of this somehow.
Yep.
What if I do this, and this? And she'll be in your ear. You'll be laughing about it and having a good time. And I think it'll be perfect.
But there's so many lessons to be learned on that digging yourself out part.
Unless you touch the hot stove, you really don't know what it feels like.
I know.
The hot stove.
Yeah.
Really.
And I'll tell you, if she's 5 years old and finds a quarter in the couch, I'm gonna be like, sorry, honey, you gotta earn this.
Yeah.
Maybe go pick up the laundry, whatever it is, right? There's got to be an exchange of value, because that's all money is. It's just an exchange of energy that we created value, and I create this value, and then I'm going to say, hey, I would like Tristan come and do some value for me, and in exchange, I got this value here I can give you.
Yeah,
that's what money is. It's very simple. And so it's going to be a fun ride, man. All new for me, and we're excited.
And I love that, you got that consciousness and that intention around money as well, where a lot of people are just in the space of scarcity. And, I think in some ways, the difference between Bitcoin and fiat is that they can print whatever they want in fiat, but Bitcoin, there's that limiting and ongoing restriction of the supply of it, and the value is going to go up, and it's going to be more granular and more fractional. Yes, there'll be more currencies, but that's the knowledge that you're learning and have learned that dictates what you might invest in, what might be valuable in the long term to get now and sit on for a while. Maybe there will be some short-term plays. Looking at Warren Buffett, if he had started 5 years later, they said it'd have been worth less than half of what he's worth today, just because of that continuous, consistent sitting on those stocks that he's got. And there's like 10 or 12 stocks he invests in, and he's only buying more of them. When it goes down, he buys more. When it goes up, he buys more.
Yep.
No,
he's not a trader. He plays the market cycles. He buys when people are greedy.
Yeah.
He buys when people are fearful. Sorry. He buys when people are fearful, and he sells when people are greedy.
Yeah.
You apply the exact same ethos to crypto.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think we've covered so much today, Corey. It's so much fun. We're going to talk some music after we've finished here. But is there something you'd like to leave with the audience? That you've thought of that we haven't covered, just as a sort of a final.
Yeah, I'll give a couple of different thoughts. One, overall for entrepreneurship, a lot of people you hear it's like the buzzword. I love it. You got to know your why.
Yeah.
It's, and then you hear all these different answers. Oh, my why is my kids. My why is my mom. My parents. My why is because I want time freedom. There's so many different, I've heard so many different answers. And this is very controversial, but I would say all those are wrong. If your why is not that you truly don't love yourself and know that you deserve abundance, then you cannot retain or get that abundance unless you come from a place of love and knowing that you have a true deservance of that. And that is the biggest issues with entrepreneurs. That's why people give up. That's why people, they just don't care or whatever it is. It's because they don't have that self-love. It took me learning the hard way, really, how to self-love myself. And it came from real estate. And that's why I say real estate saved my life. And until you can't even love a human being, and honestly, in my opinion, until you learn to love yourself first.
Yeah.
And why you think you're going to be worth $10 million if you don't love yourself? You can't. It's just, you're not going to be acceptance to that abundance. So think about that. There's nothing wrong saying, oh yeah, my daughter is my why, but that means you love her before you. That doesn't make no sense.
Yeah.
Makes no sense at all. And another thing I'll leave your listeners is about crypto, is that you're going to want to start learning a little bit about this asset class, because whether you like it or not, you're going to be involved in crypto one day or another.
Whether you like it or not, yeah.
Whether you like it or not, we have a thing called CBDCs. You can look it up, and it stands for Central Bank Digital Currencies, and they got approved in the United States July of this year. Right now, it's just a bank-to-bank settlement layer, but eventually it will be integrated into the economy. And then one day, what this fiat thing we got, which is this is fiat, is going to be gone. We're going to be all digital. And the only place where you will have true freedom in your finances is in decentralized finance, which is the DeFi part.
Outside of the
name. Yep. And that's where you'll have self-sovereignty. And that's where you'll have censorship-resistant transactions. It was great. My brother sent me some Pulse, which is just a crypto. I'm here in Puerto Rico, and it was like 9 o'clock at night, and he sent it to me, and it was in my wallet within seconds without a third party.
Yeah.
Cryptocurrency was invented to get rid of third-party counterparty risk.
Yeah.
It was to teach you to be your own bank.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, all of us, we stopped being our own bank when we stopped keeping those piggy banks under our bed and we went to the bank. We stopped being our own bank. Well, crypto puts the control back to you, people. And that's the amazing part about crypto. It can set you financially free, absolutely. Yeah. But it will the freedom and the shackles it gets rid of from the government, the banks, and it's amazing. So it would be wise just even a little bit of research. Doesn't mean you have to go out and invest a bunch of money. And when you start, you can start with like 1%, whatever you make, and just slowly start getting comfortable with the asset class because it is the future. So
what are some good sources? You can Google crypto and you'll find all sorts of crap out there that might,
Oh, it's all garbage. I mean, most of it's garbage.
It is. So where would be a good place to go and find?
Oh, we got a YouTube channel. Would love to, if you guys want to come watch us, we stream Monday through Friday, assuming that we don't got nothing going on. Some days we cancel or whatever, but most days we stream.
Yeah.
It's about an hour long. And, we talk about some of our favorite assets and some of the new emerging layer 1 blockchains that are coming out in the middle of this bear market.
Yeah.
So, we're a great resource. Obviously, there's other resources. One of my favorites, and he's very controversial, is Richard Hart. And literally watching all his old streams, it's so much knowledge and information. It's overload.
Yeah.
It will blow your brain, and he will teach you everything that you need to know about cryptocurrency, why it was invented, where it's going, all the myths, all the BS that's out there, because 98% of all crypto is BS. It's the Wild West. It's unregulated right now. So you got to be very careful on how you maneuver in this space.
Yeah.
But one of the things he said is, if you get crypto right, you or your family will never have to work again. Once again, 2020 and 21 created more millionaires and billionaires in this space than any other niche in the world, including real estate and business ownership.
Yeah.
Another fun fact, had you put $1 into Bitcoin in 2009, which was when it was first invented, now I get it, we didn't know about it, but just for a fun experiment, and then sold in November of 2021, which was the last market cycle top. By the way, cryptocurrency works in 4-year cycles. It's down to the T. You can predict when the tops come and when the bottoms come for the cycle. But if you would have sold November of 2021, you would have made $6.5 million off your
Holy moly. Wow.
Cryptocurrency is the highest appreciating asset known to mankind.
And that's going to keep increasing because of its scarcity.
It is.
Yeah.
So it would just be wise to start learning a little bit. Richard Hart is great. Another guy who's great is the one who created the Cardano blockchain. Charles Hoskinson is his name. He's great. You can listen to Vitalik. He's good. He created the Ethereum blockchain, but Richard Hart is my favorite.
Brilliant.
Go back and start watching all his old streams, and you'll learn a plethora about this asset class. And it's an amazing and fun asset class too, once you learn how to navigate the landmines, because you got to be careful. It's
absolutely.
Yeah.
So your mastermind is it the DeFi Crypto Alliance?
DeFi Crypto Alliance is the name of the mastermind. Yep. And this is just a group where we're teaching real estate entrepreneurs Not everyone in there is real estate, but like 98%.
Yeah.
that's the space we come from.
Yeah.
We're teaching them how to do crypto the right way, the safe way, where you hold your own keys, where you engage with the blockchain, you engage with the code. We don't use centralized exchanges. We don't use Binance or Coinbase or Crypto.com.
Yeah. Because that's another third party, isn't it, that's involved?
You got it.
Yeah.
You nailed it. That's happened to FTX. That's why FTX was just a centralized exchange, and it collapsed, and people lost a lot of money. So you want to hold your crypto. You want to hold your own keys. You want to learn to be your own bank and act responsibly. There's a lot of learning to it. It's not easy in the beginning, but once you learn it, man, it's And so so the group is that. And it's been a blast, man. It's been an absolute blast. We do all the research. We encourage the group members to do research, or they don't have to. Like we're bringing, on a silver platter to everybody what we're investing in, why we're investing in them, how much we're investing. Is there red flags? What are the red flags? And it's just it's what I do full time now, man. It's been awesome.
Amazing.
The passive income from my portfolio.
Is that from mining or?
There's 3 ways to make passive income in crypto. 3 legit ways. There's a lot of other different ways, and we call those Ponzi-nomics. Because it's the wild, wild west. 3 ways. 1, mining. You got to be careful with that term because everyone misuses it and it's not correct. Because only true mining is when you're mining a layer 1 blockchain. And so layer 1, I'll give you a couple examples. Bitcoin's a layer 1. Ethereum is a layer 1. Pulse Chain is a layer 1. Avalanche is a layer 1. Solana is a layer 1. There's only a finite few. There's not a lot. So mining those is a great way to make passive income. Right now I'm mining Pulse Chain. I'm making about 20% APY, which is very low in the crypto space. In the real world, it's great, but in the crypto space, it's low. But I'm earning all the passive income in the layer 1, which I love. The second way is probably it's my second favorite. This is where, so you have a layer 1 blockchain. On top of the layer 1, you have protocols that are built. They're like businesses. People come and engage with the protocol, and they pay a fee to engage the protocol, and so they make a profit. Now, the business doesn't have an owner. There's no CEO. There's no management team because it's decentralized. It's just code and a protocol. And so where does all that money go? Where it goes to the holders of the crypto that's attached to the protocol. It's like a stock dividend. It's like if you own Coca-Cola, every quarter you get a dividend from their profit. Now, it's not very much if you own Coca-Cola, but these crypto protocols, because there is no ownership of them. All that profit is distributed to the stakers of that coin of the protocol. So that's the second way, which is you can clearly see where the passive income is coming from. That's one of the secrets. If you don't see where the passive income is coming from, then most likely it's a Ponzi. The third way is it's called liquidity providing. And so Coinbase, all they are is a marketplace where you can go buy and trade assets, right? You can buy and sell assets. Well, in DeFi, you can put up the assets for people to trade in and out of. And for that service, you earn fees. So people are trading in and out of your assets all day long. Maybe you have Ethereum, and maybe you have like HEX, and you put it in a liquidity pool. And in that pool, people are trading in and out of your assets, and you get paid fees for it. And that is the third way of making passive income in crypto. Now, there's different, after that, there's other ways, but like I said, there are more Ponzi-nomics that we don't like. We want to make sure. So the way I look at crypto, it's funny, man. In real life, you provide value to get paid, right? It's the same on the blockchain. You need to ask yourself, what value am I bringing to the blockchain to get paid? For like liquidity providing, you're providing a valuable service because you're putting up your assets. You become the market maker. You become the exchange. You become the Coinbase, right? And that's the value you bring in, that people are able to trade in and out of your crypto, and you make the fees. And so that's what you got to look at. Mining, the value you bring is huge. You hold consensus to the network. you execute transactions and you make new blocks. Like your computer all does this on the server. And so you bring a very valuable service to the ecosystem and get paid accordingly. So it's just, that's how we look at passive income in this space. And man, it's been amazing. Ideally, what you want to do is you want to build a portfolio of assets that produce passive income. We're buy and hold investors. We treat our crypto like real estate.
Yeah.
And you hold into the next market top, which is somewhere around 2025. How do I know that? Because everything
revolves cycle.
4-year cycles, everything revolves around the Bitcoin halving. The next Bitcoin halving, check it out. Your viewers can Google it. Will be in April of 2024 is the next Bitcoin halving. So this is the accumulation year, the bear market.
Yeah.
Once the halving happens, because that's also, think about it, presidential election. Eventually, they're going to start dropping rates. The money printer will come back on eventually. That's going to be all around that time, the Bitcoin halving. It's funny how Satoshi Nakamoto, who's the one who created Bitcoin, he scheduled the halving in our to report
that.
It's remarkable.
Amazing. That's great. Well, we're going to put your link after this to your YouTube channel, to your mastermind, and your contact information that you want to share for your team. Thank you so much, Corey. This has been amazing value and such an enjoyable conversation.
Always a pleasure, man. We'll do a round 2 sometime. Love it.
Thank you so much.
Follow Corey on the links provided. The crypto world is an incredible one. There's been a lot of emotion, as we heard, but take a look at what he's doing for long-term cash flowing wealth. These are the important people to follow, not the knee-jerk reactions, not the emotions, but build yourself a solid foundation of wealth that you can pass through generations. Thanks for joining us. See you on the next edition of Birth to Net Worth.